education for a number of years, alhamdulillah. You've been blessed to be abroad.
Alhamdulillah.
Do you want to just talk about some of the experience you've had in terms of teaching abroad and maybe putting things, structures in place in order for those schools and education systems to facilitate the teaching?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I mean, I've been fortunate to work in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, and I've worked at a very high level position, senior education consultant in 2 other countries, and principal head teacher in Saudi Arabia. And when I first went there, I just saw the lack of intensity. You know, one of the things we lack as Muslim community, and having worked with so many schools, I'm specifically talking about Muslim schools here in the Middle East and in this country, is that we don't have the policies in place. We don't have the procedure in place. We certainly don't have the data analysis or the data to show progress of students from where they were and how to support them, set targets and so forth. So all that we lack in those areas. And one of the biggest core fundamental problems that we have is a lack of leadership and mentoring, leadership and management, sorry. So we don't have the leaders or there's so few that, for them to drive forward. And one of the agendas that we've got with academic and mentoring is to support initially all the schools, Islamic schools in Leicester, for example, Leicestershire. We've already, just give an example, one of the projects we did with a group of brothers in Derby last year, they started off with nothing. They had nothing. So we helped them set up the charity. We helped them, set up the building infrastructure, the policies, the procedures. And within a year, mashallah, they've got 60, 70 students.
Wow,
and they had the first shahada as well,
Oh, wow,
3-4 weeks ago.
Alhamdulillah.
And now they want to set up a homeschooling project.
Wow, okay.
And that's in 1 year. So imagine what we can do if
Subhanallah.
we could support the schools in Leicester. And that's what our primary, we've been to most of the schools as well. Unfortunately, we're not getting the response that we would like. And a lot of the stuff we're doing is free. We're giving free audits to schools across the country. We're giving free audits and business supports to madrasa across the country. So it's not costing you. So what's the resistance?
What's the reason as to not why? That was actually something I was going to come on to, because before I come on to homeschooling, in terms of working in the community, because of course you work across all backgrounds, what are your differences are you finding in we've talked about our Muslim community. What about our other communities within Leicester? Let's just home in on that in terms of the mindset and the way education is seen through with them.
Again, this is a personal opinion, having the evidence to back that, which is we've been supporting students right now. So I'll give an example. Some of the schools are not supporting, especially Muslim kids. I've just dealt with a case today. The brother rang me yesterday. He was really distraught, really upset. And I said, look, calm down. Okay, what's wrong? He goes, my daughter's been bullied. And she doesn't want to go to school. And she's crying and saying, Papa, I don't want to go to school. I hate school and things like that.
That's terrible.
And the issue is why is that happening? And I've known 4 or 5 other cases which I've been dealing with as well, where kids are getting bullied, but because parents don't know, the statutory requirements, the frameworks, and how to deal with, the head teachers and so forth, they just almost accept it and just feel powerless. So what we're saying is, look, connect with us. And we will. So today, I went to see the senior management team, and I sat there, and they were just talking a language where there's no way that parent understands.
Yeah, it's just going to baffle them.
You're talking about local parentis and policies and procedures. That parent is going to be overwhelmed and baffled.
Of course.
So I listened for a good 20 minutes, and then, I sat there, and then I had to intervene at some point because some of the things they were saying was just out of context. And then when I told them who I was, it's almost like they calmed down. They're saying, all right, we need to be very careful here. And then we requested a plan of action from them. Look, she's been bullied.
Yes.
This is X amount of times. Where's the documentation from that? Can we see that? And then they started going to technical law. I said, look, this is what the law is. And if you want me to show you, can you see? So when you are talking their language, and then they complied with everything we said. Now, hopefully, that problem now will be resolved for that child. So that's just an example of what's happening around our communities.
Yeah, but then the question then brings me to is what baffles me is that if parents didn't know of you and your co-team, who would parents go to? Would they just keep dealing with this where their child is being bullied and the child is saying, I don't want to go to school, but the parents never know why their child, and not holding the teaching system to account?
Yeah, I mean, accountability is the biggest problem, but it's, again, it goes back to my initial point, the lack of education, the lack of understanding of how education system works.
Yes.
You know, on average, we have 2.5 children, 3, Muslim communities might have 3, 4, even more. But we need to know, because 12, 15, 18 years of their life, or 1/3 of their life, would be in education.
In some kind of structural system, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you look at it with 3 children or 4 children, that's nearly 80 years in education, all your children in. So you need to be aware of what are your rights as a parent.
Yes.
And unfortunately, majority of the parents don't understand the education system, and therefore they just comply. But hold on, you can't just comply to what?
Yes.
If your child is being bullied, you need to know what to do next and how to hold the system to account.
Well, like you say, is get the knowledge and understand what's actually happening.
And this is what we've done. We've now, we've got many courses. I've delivered 10 courses now.
Mashallah.
And we're educating parents. Like, people contact me and saying, well, I haven't got no teaching background. I said, okay, are you a parent? Yes. So your biggest asset, if you want to look at that, or the key focus, would be your own children. And you need to provide that education to your own children.
Yes.
And it's unfortunately, being head teacher at so many schools, parents don't sit with their children. And that's really, really sad.
Yes.
And that's not, so the children have nowhere to go. You understand? Okay, the school is not, they go to Miss or Sir and say, look, I've got, they're very shy because they've been bullied and repercussions.
Yes.
But they can't even go to their parents.
Yeah.
So there's no outlet. And this is where we come in. So when they come to our system, we provide that full support. And if we need to intervene, we then write a letter on behalf of the parents to the schools, go in with the parents to the schools, and go to that complete resolution and support that.
Yeah, exactly. Jazakallah khair for that. I am going to get to another point, but I'm just saying we're a Ramadan special on EAVA FM 102.5. Your host, Sister Amreen, and I'm here with Brother Mohammed Sadat from Academic Mentoring, discussing education matters. So please join us in the studio. The studio number is 212-9324. The text number is 07-450-95084. We're on www.ramadan.fm. We're on Facebook Live as well. Just say salams to, we've got Brother Abu Ishaq who's joined us, and Brother Ahmed as well who's joined us. Alhamdulillah. Okay, that is a topic we're going to talk about. But before that, I have a text, but I'm not going to say it. Just give me one moment.
Okay.
We are going to talk about that. Okay, so the first question then, we've talked about how parents contact you, Brother Mohammed, and they're already in a state. Parents don't know what's going on, so you work with them on a one-to-one. But my concern is, obviously it's Mental Health Awareness Month this month. My concern is, what state of mind is that child in already before you are able to intervene and the parents contact you?
The majority of the cases that I've had to intervene in, so for example, parents contact me, my son's not doing well, my daughter's not doing well, they've got this grade and so forth. So on my weekly radio programs, which I do a lot of podcasting regarding how to support students and what environmental factors that we need to address. So I have a free consultation meeting with the parent. So it's alhamdulillah, fi sabilillah, we sit with the parent and we kind of ascertain what could be the cause or the problem. So we diagnose what the issues are.
Yes.
So it could be they're in a school which is not doing well. So it's in special measures or inadequate.
Yes.
It could be that they live in a socially deprived demographic area. It could be the fact that they've come up from abroad. So there's so many issues that we need to look at before we can support that child. And unfortunately, schools are not doing that.
Yes.
They just go in, the student comes in, there's no profile of that student, where the student comes from, what level. I mean, they do the test, but what does tests, actually ascertain where they can read or write?
They don't actually tell you anything really about that individual.
Yeah, but what about the mental state of that child? And as you know, 1 in 4 children are affected by mental health.
SubhanAllah.
1 in 4 in this country. That's huge.
That is huge. Okay, the show is about, as I just said, we're on Ramadan special EVA FM 102.5. I'm here with Brother Mohammed Sidat from Academic and Mentoring. The topic today is education matters. That's what it's about. So I want to hear from our audience today. We're on Facebook Live. We are on Instagram too, but please follow us. The studio number is 212-9324. Text number is 07450-95084. Can I just have a timer, please? I just want to see how long we've got before the break, before we go on to the next topic. Okay, we have 6 minutes. I think we can... okay, can we have that text message again? Sorry, producer. Okay, where's that message gone? Okay. We were actually going to come to this towards the end of the show, but let's do it now, inshallah. So, do parents have to comply with LGBT lessons in primary schools? Can parents pull their kids from LGBT lessons without consequence? Okay, so bearing in mind, Brother Mohammed will give you his feedback in terms of his opinion and in terms of what he knows about the whole RAC situation within the UK currently unfolding. I'll let you take it away, inshallah.
Okay, I think we need a whole session on this.
Yes.
So, because I don't want to answer questions which is going to be a half-hearted attempt. I think people do need to connect with their schools. I think I'm not going to give you direct answers to that because the law, obviously the law is the law.
Yes.
We have to comply with the law, and it's going to be statutory.
Yes.
From September this year. What I would suggest is parents need to be active with schools.
Yes.
Parents need to engage with the schools, and unfortunately, in some of the issues that are prevalent today, for example, the schools in Birmingham, the issue with the whole issue was due to one of the main reasons was due to a lack of parental consent, and engagement. Yeah. And I think many parents need to get together, and I think it's not a matter of just sending your child to a school. What unfortunately, the Muslim community, what we've done is we either send them to Islamic school, for example, and Islam, the Islamic school, they're going to learn. No, but you're not holding, again, we talked about accountability. If they're going to state school, 97% of Muslim children go to state schools. So there's a huge, kind of proportion of students that go to state schools. But it's about engaging with the schools and saying, right, what is my son or my daughter being taught?
Yes.
And if you disagree, then there has to be a process of working with the school to ensure that they are taught in a way which is based on your values, based on Islamic values and so forth.
Yes.
So the question, what they've asked, I think it needs more time. And again, I would suggest is speak to, there are many companies out there like Mend that are doing a fantastic job as well. And even at City Retreat, there's some of the sisters there are really active in this. And there's many masajids and groups that have had those RSC workshops,
education about what's going on in terms of understanding.
So you can connect with them. But if you want more information, then you can contact me, and I can go through that in detail with you.
Yeah. Okay.
So that, because it's not going to give justice.
It's not just.
It's not going to give justice for me answering that question.
And it's also we can't be generalistic because, as you say, it's the law of the land. We need to follow it. We need to know. We know it's happening, but it's how we do it and follow due process. Inshallah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a caller, and we're going to take one just before the break. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Who is that?
This is Abdul Shakur Tara from Leicester.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Do you have a question for Brother Mohammed?
Yes, indeed. It's really very
brother.
interesting. Wa alaikum salam, brother. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Ramadan?
Well, we're coping. And it's always good to hear. Well, I'm the person Selma probably talked to you about, and we're looking forward to meet sometime next week, inshallah.
Inshallah. Fantastic. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. My question is really, and you already touched that, around the mental health and young people in schools. Would you agree, because of your experience working in schools, would you agree that every school should have a dedicated or trained counselor in order to prevent this whole scenario of mental health among the young people? As you know, it's a pandemic stage, and I think we haven't taken much serious. And some schools do have a dedicated trained counselor. But I think most of the schools have this so-called school nurse, which might not actually have appropriate training to identify the issue of mental health at the early stage.
Okay, I'm going to try and be as brief as possible because, again, it's a very long answer. But the answer to your question is not necessarily a counselor. It's the school systems which are wrong. Okay, so for example, children go in. Most teachers teach at a level which is catered for the average student. They're not focusing on those students who are underachieving. Why are they underachieving? And that's creating stress and anxiety and so forth. Sometimes, I'll just give you a typical example. I had several students that don't have internet access at home, and then you'd be surprised. Teachers are giving them homework, for example, but they can't do the homework because they don't have internet access. And then they're coming in, they're getting detention for not doing the homework. And that's not, can you see, that's just one example. And so it's not just a matter of having a counselor. It's about having a whole school system that supports the mental health. In other words, all the staff need to be trained up. The senior management need to be trained up. The governors need to be trained up. And the system in the school should allow that progressive mindset. They have extracurricular activities, aesthetic curriculum. Schools are not focusing on aesthetic and extracurricular, which massively, helps the student, because what they're learning in terms of the academics is now being implemented through aesthetic curriculum. Like, so for example, you might have a student who's very good at art, but if they join an art club, that's their passion, that's their drive. And then you support them and saying, look, that's an amazing picture, put it online on the school website, put it in the school hall. If they're doing sculptures, for example, put that in an exhibition. The school should have an exhibition. That massively motivates. During the Hajj period, we used to have a Hajj exhibition in one of my schools. And all the parents, and this is the work done across the entire school. So the answer to your question is not just a matter of having a counselor.
Okay,
but
can I ask another question, presenter, if you don't mind?
Give me, brother, we've got 29 seconds to the break. What you can do is stay on the line, and maybe after the break you can still come on and maybe do that, because I don't want to have to cut you off.
Well, then I will probably be on the table getting ready. At least I got to the table an hour before. You see, as you can imagine.
Maybe call back in 5 minutes when we have the break, brother.
I will do that.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for your call. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Is this Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You're here with myself, Sister Amreen, on the radio special EAVA FM 102.5 FM. I'm joined in the studio with Brother Mohammed Sidat from Academic and Mentoring, and today we are discussing all things education matters. So before the break, alhamdulillah, we had the brother call, so jazakallah khair for your call. And so it brings me on to the next question, Brother Mohammed. So how do people get in touch with you, and how do they touch base with you?
There are several outlets where people can connect with us. The first one is obviously go to the website. We've got tons and tons of resources, free resources for parents to use, students to use, teachers to use. So website would be the first point of call, which is www.academic.mentoring.com. So that's www.academicmentoring.com. Second step, you could probably email us at info@academicmentoring.com. So that will directly come to me, and obviously I can respond to you. We do have a 24-hour response time for all emails to come through. The third is you can call me, 077 25 974 831. So you can call me on my mobile or text me, and I'll try and call you back as soon as possible. We've got all the social media outlets as well. You can go, via LinkedIn, via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. You can contact us via any of those mediums also, and we'll try and respond to you as soon as possible.
Okay. So in terms of the physical stuff, apart from social media, is there any other way that are you based in Leicester? Where are you able to give those details?
Yeah, we're based in Leicester. So we're based in Highfields, number 1 Wood Hill. So we have a centre of excellence there where we provide the teacher training there. We provide the tuition there on the evenings and weekends. And then we have regular courses and so forth. So if you need to, give me a call, book an appointment, get into my calendar, and then we can take it further from there.
Yeah, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. So we have some guests in the studio. Alhamdulillah. Are you going to come to the mic for me, inshallah? They're going to recite some poetry. Brother Muhammad, do you want to just introduce them because they're your students, aren't they?
Mashallah, these are two students that come to us regularly, mashallah, and they're studying the Arabic language. And mashallah, I think they're both very confident, especially the mother is known the mother for a long time, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so they're going to recite some poetry. So we're just going to give them a minute, inshallah, to set up. And I will ask them some questions in a second. So jazakallah khair for coming in, both of you. MashaAllah, you're really brave to come into the radio station.
So this is Noor, mashallah.
Noor, do you want to come a bit closer to the microphone, my darling? Jazakallah khair. How old are you, Noor? 7.5. 7.5, mashallah. Okay, so what are you going to recite for us today? Okay, just look straight into the mic for me, yeah? Yeah, that's perfect. Nice and loudly, my darling, okay?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
My name is Noor Pirali, and I'm going to read you a poem called The Key to Life. Education, the light of our life, a gift of academic rife. Education, the key to a bright and rewarding future. A glue that joins our dreams like a suture. Education, a path to divine success, a smooth drive to our greatness. Education gives our thinking a different appearance and gives drive away all our ignorance. Education, it leads us to the path of prosperity and gives our tomorrow a sounding security. The process of education, the process of teaching and learning, which will help us in our future earning. Education, shaping our true character is the motto, and leading to a successful life, it is the major factor. Education, the progressive discovery of our true self and exploitation of the potentials of oneself. Education, a better safeguard of liberty than a standing army, a lifeboat that sees us through our days of stormy education. a torch of academic brilliance and backbone of inner resilience. Education, the key to unlock the golden door of freedom and stage our rise to stardom. Education, a life-sustaining material. Without it, we can't lead a life which is congenial. Education, not all about bookish knowledge, but it is also practical knowledge. Education makes a person stand up on his own toes and helps a person to fight with all his foes. Education, a fundamental foundation for any country, state, or nation. Education, a thick line between right and wrong, a ladder that takes us to the height where we belong. Education, mother of all profession, that helps acquires all our possession. Education is our right, for in it our future is bright.
Subhanallah, mashallah,
Subhanallah,
jazakallah. That's so beautiful, mashallah. Jazakallah khair, Noor. And who do we have next? Bismillah.
Bismillah. This is Ibrahim.
Ibrahim, do you want to come a bit closer? Right to the mic.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ibrahim. Purely, I am going to read you a poem about turn to Allah. When you have a terrible day, you just want to scream, just turn to Allah. When you're feeling so down, you have lost all hope, just turn to Allah. When you're feeling betrayed, you just want to curse, just turn to Allah. When you can't see a way out of a terrible situation, just turn to Allah. When you're feeling like you have no self-esteem, just turn to Allah.
Mashallah.
When you're feeling all okay and the world is at your feet, just remember not to forget Allah. You can then be certain He will remember you.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.
Jazakallah khair,
Jazakallah
both
khair.
of you, for coming in. Okay, I don't normally give sweets, right, because it's Ramadan, but these are both for you, okay? So have one each, and when it's Rosa time, make sure you remember me in your du'as, okay? Jazakallah khair for coming in.
And you'll get something from me as well. Don't worry.
Bless you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so
Jazakallah
much,
khair. Thanks
both
you.
of you coming.
Jazakallah
Thank you, Mummy Pirali, for bringing the kids in. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. Remember in your du'as.
Inshallah.
Okay, so we have about 15 minutes. Excuse me. So you're on Ramadan Special EAVA FM 102.5. I'm here with Brother Mohammed Sidat from Academic and Mentoring. We are discussing all things education matters. So, okay, 15 minutes. So what I want to ask is, these are your students. So talk to me about your mentoring and your coaching and some of your teaching programs that you are currently running right now.
Yeah, so I've been through the whole process, having a degree and then doing a PGC, and I looked at the PGCE system and the QTS system and everything else, but it lacked the kind of methodology or the pedagogy to really understand what happens in the classroom. I've kind of mentored so many students, teachers, potential teachers, who have gone in and they've struggled. And as you know, there's an alarming rate of shortage of teachers in this country because there's teacher burnout.
Yes.
So what I've done is, through all my experience working in the Middle East, in the UK, in all parts of the country, is I've developed several courses. I've got about 10 courses at the present moment in time. 2 of them which we're focusing at the moment. The first one is a 5-step webinar. So based on the Pareto principle, which is 80-20%, if you can do those 5 steps or 6 steps, that would allow you to overcome 80% of what the teacher standards are, how you should be an effective, outstanding teacher, and so forth. So this course is starting, because of the huge demand for this course. Now we are starting a new cohort which people can register. They can go onto the website, look at the teacher training program, and then contact us, and then take it forward from there. So that's one of the courses that we're doing. We're also launching our Madrasa teacher training program across the entire country. Alhamdulillah, we've been creating massive awareness about this. So that should be coming around. If anyone wants to join, get connected with us. We're actually hoping to start one of the first courses in Leicester here as well, so they can connect with us on that. And we've got other courses like the coaching and mentoring program. So those will come through the 5-step webinar program, and we feel as if they've made huge progress and they want to go on to the next step. So they might be a teaching assistant and might want to go into full-time teaching, or there might be a teacher that want to go and become head of a department, or teacher that want to become assistant head, deputy head. So we provide a 12-session coaching program that transitions them within 12 sessions, usually about 3 months to 6 months from where they are to the next step. And we've had some amazing successes just this year alone, where just one of the sisters, she'd applied 40 places and she couldn't get a job.
Subhanallah.
Just coming onto our course, she hasn't even finished the course.
Session webinar. Was that the 5-session webinar?
Yeah, she hasn't even finished the 5-session webinar, and she got her first amazing interview.
Mashallah.
We helped her with the CV interview process and everything, and she's got the job. So,
Subhanallah. That was my question I was going to ask. So, as you said, and I have personally a lot of friends who are in the education system or who were, and they're totally burnt out. What kind of advice would you give to those people, or even those people who maybe not have a PGCE as yet, but they're thinking about something in the education system, but they don't quite know how to go about it? So what advice would you be able to give them in terms of a generalistic view as much as you can?
So we can support anyone who wants to do a PGC or QTS. So we actually hold your hand, metaphorically speaking, that we guide you through the whole process. So we support you. For example, lots of teachers struggle writing assignments. So we support you. We set up framework for you, a structure for you. We show you how to do research and so forth. So we support you in that. And even through our programs like the 5-step webinar, that massively transform your mindset. So you become a more motivated teacher, more passion, and you almost go into the classroom with a swagger. And it's about that work-life balance we show you, because most teachers, for example, mark 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day. We show you another way, which is Ofsted compliant. You don't have to mark 3 hours a day.
Yeah, see, that's why I never went into teaching, because I was like, I don't want to be like spending hours just writing stuff up.
Most teachers are marking 10, 15 hours a week. We show you a strategy where you don't need to mark 10, 15 hours a week. You can do that with a fraction of that time. Be still compliant with Ofsted requirements, teacher standards, and so forth. But not only that, every single one of your child will, your student will be progressing massively, because you yourself are in a better position mentally, physically, because you're not burnt out, you're not exhausted.
Mashallah.
So we provide those courses, and part of those consultations, that's what we do.
Alhamdulillah. So just to let you know, we're on Ramadan Special EAVA FM 102.5. We're on www.ramadan.fm. We are on Facebook Live. I'm going to quickly give a quick shout out to people. We've got Vlogs and Bants, Jazakallah Khair. We've got Layla Ibrahim, Aisha Abdul Rahman, and Ashfaq Amanullah, regulars. And Mamadou Salud Jala saying thanks and God bless you. Thank you, Jazakallah Khair. We're on the studio, so we have got about 10 minutes left, inshallah. We're on 212-9324. What I want to do is get some text messages though. So 07450 925 calls is going to be difficult to take because we've got 10 minutes of the show, and I want to try and get as much as I can from Brother Muhammad Sidat. Give me. Oh, it's the brother who's calling back.
Calling back.
Inshallah,
okay.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, inshallah, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I will have the opportunity to ask my.
Yes, brother, I'm going to have to be very strict with you though. We have 10 minutes to the show. I'm going to only give you 2 minutes to ask Brother Muhammad, and so he can give a chance to reply as quickly as he can, inshallah.
No worries. I'll get rid of my other 48 questions.
No, you can arrange a one-to-one with Brother Muhammad for that.
Yeah, no worries. We're meeting possibly next week.
Inshallah.
Brother, the current change of money maintained, local authority maintained schools are becoming academies. What's your views on that? I mean, the government is insisting that they actually improve the quality of education. But as somebody who has been in education for many, many years, and I've actually fed up personally to be campaigning against this whole idea of academization. So I just thought to ask you your views on this.
It depends. As you see, there's been several cases in the last 2-3 years where these multi-academy trusts have failed. They failed to provide the education to children, even leadership management. Some of the CEOs have been paid, excess of £250,000 to the detriment of children. So it depends. It's not a one like you wouldn't say there's one answer. There are I've met some amazing CEOs and executive head teachers. I mean, I was on a course this year as part of my NPQLE, Leadership Executive course, and I was part of a forum of 60 senior executives from around the country. And I met and I spoke to these people on a one-to-one. Some of them were, CEOs and so forth. And some of them came out with what the problems are. Others came out with, it's really focused, education focused, child focused, center focused, and so forth. So some academies work, some academies don't. It depends which academy you join. But what I always say is do your due diligence. It's not as simple as I'm going to join this multi-academy trust or single academy trust or whatever. It's looking at what's your demographics, where are you located.
Brother, I'm not talking about the performance. I'm talking about the principle of privatizing education. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Again, it's privatization to a certain extent. Yes, is good, but it depends on your hierarchy of management, your leadership, your structure. Because if it works amazingly well. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work, then it's the opposite. But generally, you can't really. Personally, I would say yes, it's very good, but you need to have the personnel to overcome and lead the schools.
Yeah, I know. But rather, I was talking about accountability, and the principle of governance is very, very unclear. I'm actually halfway through of my research on accountability and governance. And as you know, most of the governors who actually converted to become academy, they were not aware that their role became redundant. And the role of the governors diminish because the sole decision maker will be the trustees, and the trustees, the selection and the recruitment of the trustees is more kind of really pick and choose, isn't it?
And that's yes, but again, you see, each school is different. You can't say it's a one size fit all. So again, you have to have the correct personnel, even in your trusteeship or your governorship or your leadership management. So you have to be very, very careful who you choose. And part of the coaching that I do for senior leaders and executives, I go through the systems with you. So these are the things you should be looking at. Now you're talking about governance, for example, and accountability. But if you've got a framework and you've got accountability measures, shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, well,
Jazakallah khair for that,
I
brother.
hold different views, but I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair. It's a whole other topic, but Jazakallah for a call today. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we literally have 5 minutes to the end of the show. So, in a nutshell, then, Brother Mohammed, we've talked about some of your courses and you've had the children come in, alhamdulillah. So, how do people get involved? And I want to know, what's the bigger picture? What's the kind of your lasting legacy that you want to leave?
Yes, I mean, short term, what we're doing is we're trying to educate and kind of teach as many, train up many teachers as we can. I think that's the kind of first step. Medium term is to set up a centre of excellence, which is going to be something revolutionary to Leicestershire, and then we're hoping to kind of cascade that across the entire country and to Middle East and things like that. We're already in talks with several entities in the Middle East regarding this as well. Our long-term vision is to set up an amazing, holistic, dynamic school which doesn't just look at the Islamic education, secular education, but we're also looking at life skills. We're looking at the mindset change. We want to kind of ensure that the students become our legacy tomorrow. They become the intellects of tomorrow. But we give them a holistic view on education. If you look at things like Beacon House systems or Montessori systems, we're going to amalgamate all those systems into one. So not only are the children coming in and learning English, math, science, but they're becoming sports personnel, or they're becoming artists, or they're becoming radio show presenters and so forth. So they're learning so many skills, but we are going to kind of unearth their talent and their potential and really support them in that.
Jazakallah khair for that. So you're on Ramadan special on EAVA FM 102.5 FM. We do have a text number, so if you can text in, we've got last few minutes of the show 07450 95084. We've had a really packed interview, alhamdulillah. So how do people get involved, and in terms of how long term, what's the bigger plan? How can you be sustainable as a education system?
So we've got two elements. We've got the business side where we do the teacher training programs and so forth. We've also got a charitable organization called the Radiant Institute where we're looking for people for sponsorships, donations and so forth. And what we do is we utilize a lot of those funds to subsidize some of the students that, for example, can't afford tuition fees. They might be single parent mothers, or they've just come from a different country and need that support. So we support them fully. We finance them, give them the free education and so forth. So that's one of the elements. We also, on our teacher training programs, we have many students that are enrolling on the programs from, for example, India, Pakistan, and there's no way they can afford the courses. So we provide the courses free for them. So so that all kind of subsidized through the charity that supports this particular project. So obviously we need to pay staff salaries and so forth. We recruit the best teachers and coaches and mentors, and therefore they will be delivering that quality of service. So again, if you want to donate, you can go to the charity Radiant Institute and forward and support our cause as well, inshallah.
Do you want to just tell again how people can get in touch with you via the social media platforms and your contact details again, please?
Yeah, so you can go on to Facebook, Academic Mentoring, again, Twitter, Academic Mentoring as well, Instagram, similar. Go to the website. You can connect with me via telephone number. My telephone number is 077 25 974 831. You can email me your concerns. If you've got any issues regarding your children could be bullying, whatever, or you want some free advice on how to support your children, you can do that through info@academicmentoring.com. If you want to get into teacher training or teaching program, or you want to become a teacher, you're a single mother at home, or you're just a mother at home that wants to get into teaching or wants to better the education of their own child, then please give us a call. You can give me a call. I'll give you a free consultation, inshallah. That will be our legacy. That will be a sadaqah jariyah. If we change the life of one child and one parent, that will be our ticket to Jannah, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. So a bit of advice then for kind of parents or even anybody who's looking into the education system in terms of summary. What would you like to say in kind of a bit of advice and parting words for them?
Parting words is really, really invest in your children. It's their amanah to you. They are trusted to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are millions of people who do not have kids, and imagine how they feel. So if you've got children, they're a gift to you. And support them. This is what we leave our legacy behind. Our children are solely our legacy. If we have educated them with good morals and ethics, Islamic education, secular education, that will be your legacy, and they will make a massive difference across the world, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah to our little guests. We had Noor and Ibrahim in earlier, alhamdulillah, with their poetry. Jazakallah khair to you, Brother Muhammad Sadat from Academic Mentoring for today's show. And I'd like to say to all our messages we've had, our Facebookers, we have Brother Briscoe on who's joined us. We had Noor Aslam, who's a regular. Jazakallah khair to all of you. And just go and check out the website. The Facebook page has been linked as well to Academic Mentoring, so you can contact Brother Muhammad and his team through there as well. It's been your host, Sister Amreen. Please forgive me for any misgivings. And inshallah, I will see you in the next couple of days. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh my gosh.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ask Allah to make this another beneficial sitting when we are studying from the book of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and ask Allah that He has mercy upon us and He blesses us in this month and after this month, and He accepts all of our acts of worship towards Him. This is Ramadan special EAVA FM 102.5 and the Iftaar show. And yesterday we left it looking at the first three ayat of Surah Al-Fatiha. Ayah number 1, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ayah number 2, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Ayah number 3, Maliki Yawmiddin. And we left it where we were saying that there is a relationship between these three ayat and the last three. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. According to the opinion of some of the mufassirun, that is where there is a full stop. That is one particular ayah in itself. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ would then be the 7th ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. But before we look into that, before we look into all of this, it's important for us to know that these first three ayats in Surah Al-Fatiha give us purpose, give us a definition, give us an objective, give us nourishment, give us spirituality, gives us a reason to wake up in the morning. Because now, unfortunately, we live in a dunya where people don't know who they are. They are confused about themselves, they are confused about their thoughts, their beliefs, even their biological structure. People have become confused. Some people, and this is including Muslims, if they are being true for themselves, if they are being truthful to themselves, will realize that they are looking for an answer. This is just the state of some people. Unfortunately, most people, as Allah says in the Quran, وَأَكْثَرُهُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ وَأَكْثَرُهُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ وَأَكْثَرُهُم ظَالِمُونَ. And there are many different ayat where Allah says that most of them have negative characteristics given to them. Most of them will not believe. Most of them la yashkurun. Most of them do not want to see, they don't want to thank, they don't want to ponder. However, for some people, non-Muslims and Muslims, like we've said, if they are being true to themselves, they will admit that they are looking for an answer. Now this is very important because there are Muslims who are saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim until the end of the surah, and they are not being true to themselves. They are not gaining the benefits from Surah Al-Fatiha and the rest of the Quran and the religion as a whole. The first step for us to be guided, we have to realize that we are weak and Allah Jalla wa Ala is greater than us, and He is willing to give us something that we don't even know what it is, for that matter, and the effects of that thing on our lives. Allah Jalla wa Ala is guiding us in this book. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. We don't have any perception of what Maliki Yawmiddin actually is. However, Allah Jalla wa Ala in this surah is telling us that if you are true to yourself, O mankind, whether you are Muslim, born Muslim or not born Muslim, if you are true to yourself, He will give you the answers. It's unfortunate, like we've said, whether you're born in Islam or not, some people don't know who created them. They don't know what His name is. They don't know why. Some people, it's as if they're in a state of unconsciousness. And when they become conscious, instead of asking, they engage in playing and enjoying. Let me give you a parable of this, or an example of this, a real life example. If a person is in a coma, may Allah give shifa to all of those Muslims and non-Muslims who are terminally ill. Allah guide them and give them shifa and make their affairs easy in the dunya and the akhirah. If there is someone who is unconscious in hospital, The doctors don't know what's happening. The family don't know what's happening. Everybody is fearing the worst. But then, from the permission of Allah, that unconscious person, that person who is terminally ill, begins to become steady. And eventually, maybe an hour or a couple of days later, they are fully conscious again. Maybe even sometime after that, they are walking and talking again. Now, this is the parable. A person who is unconscious today, somebody who has no life, somebody who has no movement, somebody who is in a state of darkness, as soon as they become conscious, would it be feasible for the doctors to tell that unconscious person who has just literally come out of unconsciousness to go and start enjoying and abusing their body and start playing and start doing all those things that they want to do? Doesn't make sense. Medically, biologically, the doctor will say, well, listen, calm down. You need to pace yourself. Your body is fragile. Maybe your heart percentage has got weaker, and all these different scenarios that could possibly happen. My brothers and sisters, we have all come out of a state of unconsciousness, especially in this month of Ramadan, where we realize that we are fasting for a purpose. And we are conscious to the fact that there is an Allah, and there is a religion that we are following and abiding by. That's why we don't eat during the day. And all of it is in order for us to prepare for the akhirah. Because none of us are fasting, bi'idhnillah, for the sake of starving, or for the sake of cultural benefit, or to save face. Every single one of us, I ask Allah to make us of those who are sincere and have our deeds accepted and nourished for us and multiplied in its reward and its blessings in our life, in our dunya and our akhirah, that we are fasting because we are preparing for something. Therefore, this fast that you're doing right now, this month of Ramadan, is teaching you 3 very life important lessons. Number 1, you have been created by a creator, and you are connected to that creator. Number 2, that creator has given you instruction and you are following those instructions. And number 3, you are preparing through number 1 and number 2 to prepare to stand on a day which is known as Yawm ad-Din. When you come out of that unconsciousness, it doesn't make sense, my brothers and sisters, that you are fully aware of these 3 points. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, your Lord has been introduced to you. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim has given you a religion through His mercy and His grace and compassion towards you. He has given you instruction. Why? Point number 3, Maliki Yawm ad-Din, so that you can stand in front of Him with safety and security on Yawm al-Qiyamah. It makes no sense, my brothers and sisters, that when you understand the answer for the reason why you are here, point number 1, ayah number 1, ayah number 2, and ayah number 3 here, that you divert yourself away from it and you engage in enjoying and playing and whatever it is that distracts you from number 1, number 2, and number 3. Just like the person who has come out of unconsciousness, it doesn't make sense for him to start abusing his body again. It doesn't make sense for him to start engaging in sport and play. Your iman is far greater than that. Your iman is coming out of a state of unconsciousness in this month, my brothers and sisters. And it realizes point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. We need to nurture that and we need to make it stronger in order for us to not be diverted. Because shaitan wants us to enjoy and play the life of this dunya and be deceived by point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. Now let's get this straight before we continue, my brothers and sisters, that Allah Jalla wa Ala doesn't want you to live a miserable life. Like we've said before, worship can be anything that Allah is pleased with. So even you eating, you enjoying that, you enjoying time with your family, you enjoying time with whatever you enjoy doing, as long as it is halal and Allah is happy with it, or maybe even He's obligated it and instructed for you to do it, then it becomes an act of worship. You can enjoy wearing your nice clothes, you can enjoy having a nice car, you can enjoy having a career, you can enjoy socializing, all those things, but your intention has to be clean. Number 1, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It has to be in line with the instructions that Rahman Ar-Rahim has given you instructions through His mercy. Why? Because you need to prepare Maliki Yawm ad-Din. Shaitan wants you to be diverted from Maliki Yawm ad-Din. If he succeeds, what he will do is he will divert you from Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And if he succeeds with that, he will divert you from Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. He will divert you from thinking that there is going to be an akhirah. He will make you deceived and make you think that the dunya is your purpose. And there is no consequence for your action except for what you see in this world that you have around you. If he can win in that battle, then the next step is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now we're going backwards when it comes to the ayat. Malik Yawmiddin, let's stop with that. Then Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. If he can win in the battle that there is no Malik Yawmiddin, let's take the ayah away from your life completely. No belief in it, no implementation of it, no real connection with it. Okay, a person might recite it, a person might be connected with it, but the implementation is much more important because that is your iman. Your implementation is your iman. Your actions is your iman. Your statements are your iman. When you say Malik Yawmiddin, it means that you believe in that day and you are preparing for it, Ya Allah. When shaitan wants to deceive you, he will take you away from Malik Yawmiddin. Then he will try and remove Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim from your life. What is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? The instructions of Islam that Allah has given to you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you can have His grace and His mercy and His bounty and His blessings in your life. That's why He is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Because He wants you to be guided and He wants you to be upright and He wants you to be happy. He doesn't want you to have a miserable life. He wants you to be happy. When shaitan comes to you and says, well, this isn't happiness, this instruction is false, why are you following this way? There is something better. Let's remove Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim away from your life. What is left? There's only one thing that's left, which is I believe in Allah and that's it. I won't pray, I won't fast, I won't give in zakat, I won't wear a hijab, I won't have a beard, I won't have any kind of, whether it's internal or external symbolization of Islam in my life, nothing, except that I believe in Allah. I still identify as a Muslim. That's when the situation is dire, because shaitan in that scenario is working towards making you be confused in Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, who your Lord is, Jalla wa Ala. Our Imams weren't negligent like this. Our Imams, Allah Jalla wa Ala has made us our Imams for a reason, because they were the beacons of guidance. But a person will agree with that and they'll say, yeah, they are guided, they are our guidance, and I totally believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the Prophet and he came with guidance, and if I was to follow him correctly, then yes, I know that I'd go to Jannah, but really that life doesn't really make me happy. So I'll take a pinch of that, but I'll take spoonfuls of something else. They lived the most happiest and the most tranquil of life. It's a misconception for a person to think that guidance doesn't equate happiness. Guidance doesn't equate tranquility. Guidance doesn't equate the lack of anxiety. That's not true. They were the beacons of our iman. They were the beacons of our guidance, and they were also the beacons of our happiness. The Prophet ﷺ didn't even own his own house. He never owned his own property. And despite that fact, he was always cheerful. He didn't fear poverty, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In actual fact, it increased his iman in the akhirah and his attachment towards it, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It increased him yearning to be with Allah Jalla wa Ala, and that made him firm, and it gave him tranquility, and it gave him ease, and it gave him peace, and that's what made him the Imam of guidance, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But it wasn't just him who was like that. The companions radiallahu anhum and our Imams that came after them from the Salaf and from the Imams of the Madhabs, etc., all of them had a level of enrichment in their dunya which we will not be able to find. Now, I'm not just saying that. We're not just saying that because we are biased towards them and we have a love and a connection towards them. Therefore, we are saying that for the sake of saying it. That's not the case. That is definitely not the case, because people have been given riches in this dunya and they have not found the tranquility that they've found. People have been given their desires satisfied for them, but they have not found the guidance and the know-how and the knowledge and the wisdom that they found. You can imagine that their statements, the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he spoke, it was always truth. Whenever he spoke, it was never a lie. Whenever he spoke, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it wasn't that there was 50-50, maybe he's saying the truth, maybe he's not, maybe he's correct, maybe he's not correct. He was always guided. And the companions who understood that the most and adopted that the most for themselves had the greater level of guidance and enrichment and tranquility and peace and blessings even. Yes, blessings even in your dunya. You can have something given to you because of your iman. And had you not had that iman, you would not be granted it. Whether it's a job, whether it's wealth, whether it's health, whether it's you want to get married, whatever your situation and your concern in your dunya is. However, this all goes back to what we were saying before. Maliki yawmiddin, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil. Maliki yawmiddin, you prepare for the akhir. Rahman ar-Rahim, you need to follow those instructions and you need to have firm tawheed and iman in Allah. That's the very first ayah in the Quran. Unfortunately, people have said, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, they've said these ayat, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki yawmiddin. However, they've got a pinch of that, but they've also got tablespoons of focus towards football, or tablespoons towards focus towards cars or wealth, or things that are not going to benefit them in their Maliki Yawmiddin, things that are not connected to their Rahman Rahim, the instruction that Allah has given, and certainly not connected to the Tawheed of Allah Jalla wa Ala, where we say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Therefore, my point here, my brothers and sisters, is that this enrichment and tranquility and blessings and all of these things that you want, success in the dunya, overall success in the dunya, can only be gained if you have Iman and Tawheed, if you are following the instructions and if you are preparing for the Akhirah. And it doesn't have to be a rigid life. It doesn't have to be a life where you are living in a life of, mundane, routine. You're living in a life where there is no actual pleasure, there is no actual free will where you want to do things that you personally want to do. No, it's not like that. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah has made the dunya open for you. Inna ardullahi wasi'ah. Allah has given you so many different types of blessings that you can enjoy. None of them are haram for you. However, we need to be connected to that instruction. We need to know what is halal and what is haram, and what our flexibility is within that, so that we can prepare for Maliki Yawmiddin. Unfortunately, people see only a rigid level of instructions, so then they get bored with that, and they don't realize that Islam has made so many things halal for them and open for them, so that they can preserve the instruction that Allah has given to them, so that they can have a successful Yawmiddin. Unfortunately, we have made the religion very rigid for ourselves, and made it strict, made it down to sometimes even just one interpretation. And when you have that level of blind following, people then become adverse into following the religion. They think it's not for me. They will not deny it outright because they don't want to take these ayat away from their creed, from their Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. They can't disbelieve in that. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, they can't disbelieve in that. However, when it comes to their ritual practices in their day, it's too rigid for them. So they will believe in it spiritually, but they will not implement it physically. That's our fault, because we are far away from the Tawheed of Allah and our Iman in Him. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are far away from His instruction, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and we are far away from being any kind of consciousness towards Maliki Yawmiddin. The companions didn't have that. They understood that the instructions is what's going to prepare them, and it's connected to the Iman in Allah. The instructions are going to prepare them and give them blessings in the dunya, and it's going to prepare them for an akhirah. That is the enrichment, my brothers and sisters. Knowing that level of flexibility, that Allah will still continue to be pleased with you, that if I take this route or I take that route, all of it is worship. If you follow that, then khalas, alhamdulillah, you're on a good way and you're preparing for Maliki. However, if you become following a way which is blindly following one particular interpretation or one particular ritual or even a cultural understanding of Islam, then you will be not following the instruction that Allah has given to you, or partially following that, and you will not have that enrichment that our Imams and our Prophet ﷺ had. Therefore, you will start looking for other ways that will give you that enrichment in your life, which will not help you prepare for Maliki Yawmiddin. They were not satisfied by running around after a ball or watching people running around after a ball. They would not see life being enriching and successful, where you get leather and you stitch it up and then you put it on the ground and we see who's going to hit the opposite target the most, and that's what will make us happy. Their enrichment and their cheer and their success was not in what color I should wear and whether it should go with this outfit or whether it will go with that particular makeup. Their love and their level of success was connected to Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Tawheed, and knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His names and His attributes. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, knowing His religion and knowing what He wants from us. Knowing what He wants from us subhanahu wa ta'ala, and knowing the level of flexibility that you can have in those different opinions, and it's still all being worship. All of that will then prepare you for Maliki Yawmiddin. What consequence and what result do we see in the life of the Prophet ﷺ and the Imams that came after? We will see the success translated into their actions. The Prophet ﷺ used to stand to the extent that his feet, tafattarat qadamah, his feet used to become cracked. So his wife, Aisha, out of compassion and love, used to say, why are you doing this when all of your past sins are forgiven and your previous ones and your forthcoming ones? He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا, shall I not be a thankful slave? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sees success in worshipping Allah and being thankful towards Him. He sees enrichment and cheer and tranquility and guidance and a happy life in being connected to Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Tawheed and Iman, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, following His instructions to the best of his ability and the ability of the Prophet ﷺ. Look at the level here. Look at the threshold and the benchmark. Even his feet used to get swollen, and he used to think that that was part of the instructions that he wants to follow for himself. Maliki Yawmiddin. Now we have to understand also from this, the Prophet ﷺ didn't want us to make our feet swell and crack our feet. I mean, if you can do that and stand with that level of khushu', that's fine. You will be from the pious of the pious. But number one, you can't buy that. You have to train. You have to attain that level of success over a period of stages and levels. But also, we understand that there are some from the pious who don't do this, but they are still from the pious and those who are accepted with Allah Jalla wa Ala. Why? Because Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He has given us instruction and He has given us leeway, enough understanding that the religion doesn't have to be like this. So now, if you look at this sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, tafattarat qadamah, that his feet used to swell and crack, and he used to thank Allah in this manner, أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. He doesn't necessarily want that for every single one of us. And it's not binding that you do it in this way so that you can enter into His Jannah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also have examples from those people who were closest to him. Abu Bakr, kathir al-buka, he used to cry a lot, and this is from his description that is being given to him. وَبِخَاصَةِ فِي الصَّلَاةِ وَإِنْدَ قِرَاءِ الْقُرْآنِ, especially in the Quran, in reciting the Quran, when he used to stand in front of Allah. What we learn from this is that Abu Bakr used to ponder and he used to cry on a regular basis, even if he is not reciting and even if he is not standing. Why? That's where his success was. That's where his guidance was. That's where his tranquility lay in. Because Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, was firm in him. Umar radiallahu an has been described, and this is an actual physical description of him, that he used to have 2 black lines on his face. It is as if it was engraved on his face. And the reason why he used to have khattan aswadan, because 2 black lines on his face, because he used to have kathratul buka. He used to cry a lot. Radiyallahu an. The level of weeping and the effect of that success that he wanted for himself used to be translated into his reaction in the way he used to recite the Quran and stand in front of Allah. We're going for a short break. This is Ramadan special, EAVA FM 102.5 in the Iftaar show, and bi'idhnillah we'll come back and continue our discussion from Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidil Mursaleen, amma ba'd. Welcome back to Ramadan special Iftaar show on EAVA FM 102.5. And we were talking about the effects of these ayat that were found on the Prophet ﷺ and the companions that were around him, radiyallahu anhum. And we said that Umar radiyallahu anhu used to have a qattan aswadan min kathrat al-buka, that he used to have two black lines on his face because the extent of weeping that he used to gain from the nourishment from the Quran, radiyallahu anhu. Uthman radiyallahu anhu. Now, look how difficult this has become even for the best of us. He used to recite the Quran. Now a person will think, okay, well, how do I get to that stage, or do I need to get to that stage? Number one, Islam doesn't want you to get to a stage where you are swelling your feet up in order to worship Allah. If you did that and you got to that level of iman and piety, that's something else. But Allah has not made that a condition for you to enter Jannah. Allah is telling you in these ayat, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, you have to know who Allah is and the tawheed of Him and have iman in Him. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, once you have had that iman internally, you need to have that external instruction in your life implemented. There is no excuse for that. And if you have that, the more you have of that, the higher the station in Jannah. The lesser, the lesser. The non-existent, then the non-existent of Jannah in the Akhirah. Or in the dunya for that matter as well, of success and happiness, etc. But at least in the Akhirah, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Allah has given us instruction. Now we've just mentioned before the break that it doesn't have to be rigid. You can look for alternative interpretations, and if a person who is qualified giving you an alternative interpretation, you can accept that, and if you're satisfied with it and they explain it to you in a nice way, then you can accept that, and then that will become an act of worship in itself. And there are so many problems in our communities, in our homes, in our societies because of this level of blind following that people have been doing from one interpretation only, has led to people thinking that Islam is too rigid, it's too maybe even backward, it's not nourishing. Where in actual fact Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim and He wants to nourish you in your life and your soul. Maliki Yawmiddin has to be there also, my brothers and sisters. You have to believe in the Akhirah and work towards it, and then you can get to this level where, and ask Allah to give us and our children this level of rizq that He has given to only certain people that He has chosen. We've looked at Abu Bakr, we've looked at Umar. Uthman radiallahu anh كان يختم القرآن في ركعة. Allahu Akbar. He used to recite the whole Quran in one rak'ah. And he only ever used to move to make sujood for tilawah. Now, is he punishing himself? No, he's not. Is he doing it because he enjoys it? Yes. Radiallahu anh, even when he was dying, he was reciting the Quran. When they wanted to kill him, they found him reciting the Quran. What does that tell us, my brothers and sisters? When he is relaxing, he's reciting the Quran and benefiting from it. So when you want to catch him off guard, what's he doing? He's reciting the Quran. You see the point that we're making here? When me and you, when we want to relax and when we want to chill out, and the person would want to come and startle you if he wanted to, may Allah protect us, what will he find you doing? Watching football or Twitter, or even something which is worse than that. You know yourself best. We all know ourselves best. They found Uthman reciting the Quran, and that's how they killed him. Ali radiallahu anh used to recite the Quran and he used to be moved so much by it, his beard used to be constantly wet. Qatada, we talked about him yesterday, how he used to recite the Quran and complete it every 3 nights in Ramadan. He used to make sure that he used to teach it every single night in Ramadan. That's another example. Some of them, and it's also been narrated that Sufyan al-Thawri used to excessively weep so much that the tears that used to come out of his eyes were contaminated with blood. Some of the pious of our ummah, the salaf of this ummah, used to have a lot of love and joy in it because Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Rahman Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin was firmly instilled in their lives. And we mentioned yesterday also Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen talks about a level of love that a person has towards Allah. affirming perfection to him Jalla wa Ala, and having love towards him. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, having in this instruction and having hope that Allah will guide him and facilitate his affairs. And Maliki Yawmiddin, that level of fear and that level of consequence becomes firm in that person's heart. The ulama have said love, hope and fear, all of these comprise in worship. So if a person shows love to something other than Allah, or more than Allah, then that is an act of worship that he is directed to other than Allah. Same thing when it comes to hope, same thing when it comes to fear. And this is why the book of Allah begins with this, the conditions and the components of worship. And bi'idhnillah, we will look, and we're trying to talk about this today, but we won't have the time. Bi'idhnillah, in tomorrow's session, we will look at why hope and fear is so important. Love, hope and fear, I should say. Love, hope and fear is so important, and it is the path of those people who are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, who have that love, hope and fear. And it is not for the path for those people who don't have love, hope and fear. Ask Allah to make us of those who have firm iman. O Allah, make us of those who have firm iman. O Allah, be pleased with us and let us be pleased with you, Ya Allah. O Allah, teach us from your names and your attributes. O Allah, teach us and enrich us. Give us an enrichness in our lives through your names and your attributes, Ya Allah. O Allah, make you a part of our lives in the dunya so that we can be with you in the akhirah, looking at your face, your noble face, your face that will make us forget any kind of difficulty or any kind of pleasure that we have ever experienced in our lives. Oh Allah, make us with you in the dunya and akhirah. Oh Allah, make you be with us. Allah, you are our Mawla, you are our protector, you are our master. Without you we are irrelevant, unsuccessful. We will not have any kind of tranquility or blessing in our lives, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, you are Rabbul Alameen. Make us of those who are connected to you, Ya Allah, and worship you alone, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, you have created us alone. You didn't need any partners. You didn't need any help. You did it through all of your might and power and your wisdom and justice and hikmah and mercy. Oh Allah, make us of those who worship you alone. Make our children of those who are strong in their iman and not misguided. Make our children who are strong in their worship with you and your oneness, Ya Allah, so that they can continue to be of those people who are guided, and that our religion is not lost after a certain number of generations because of our lack of iman and our lack of knowing you, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, have mercy on us. You are Rahman in the dunya and you are Rahim in the akhirah. Oh Allah, make us of those who achieve and attain some of your Rahman and your Rahmah, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, have mercy on us in the dunya and the akhirah. Oh Allah, have mercy on us in the dunya and the akhirah. Oh Allah, help us to prepare for a day where there is going to be a day of great bliss, but also a day of great punishment. Oh Allah, be pleased with us. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.